What's up YouTube, Chronos here, and welcome back to another PSO2 video. So today's video is going to be the counterpart to the video I released, well, at this point, when you guys actually see this video, it'd be 2 days ago, but it'll be my units roadmap video, the counterpart to my weapons roadmap video. Now, stay tuned, I'm actually going to be releasing 2 videos to go along, well, I guess it's going to be really 1 video to go along with these 2. It's going to be some cheap affixes to kind of help carry you into endgame without really breaking your bank. Because there are some, dude, there are some affixes I've seen recently that just blow my mind for how much people are putting into them. And granted, people are making money, so by all means, if you make money like that, go for it, have a good time. But man, the damage difference is not that huge, let me tell you. But I could ramble on about that all day long. So let's go ahead and just get started on this. So kind of like the weapons roadmap guide, I'm going to start with where I started with leveling for my units. So this is kind of an interesting setup. I actually picked up these units here. Let's see. Well, I'll show you guys the quest itself really quick. So we're gonna head over to the gate area really quick. So there's a set of units I started out with. They were the sub weapon barrier units. They don't have a set bonus or anything like that. They're just a set of units that are kind of flexible. So they come from completing the coffee client order. It is this one here, practice quest certification. Now, cool thing about it is they come pre-affixed with 50 HP, 3 PP, and 20 all attack, meaning any class can really use it. It's still going to be relatively useful, right? Don't have to worry about affixing. It just has some decent affixes. Nice thing about them is there are 2 major things. I'm going to go ahead and unequip these units so you guys can see it really fast. As you notice, as I was unequipping these units, you can see I had 3 of them here, right? Notice that they're actually available in all unit slots. They're flexible, they go into any unit slot. And cool thing about them is they also give you a base 100 HP to go along with the 50 augmented HP. So you're actually getting 150 HP from each one of these units, which is more than I have on my current unit set. So at level 75, I'm sitting with a comfortable 1251 HP. Now granted, you only have 127 PP, it's not much, but it's something to start with. Now granted, some of that also comes from the fact that I have other classes leveled. I believe I've had extra 10 PP from leveling up classes to 75, so you guys might be sitting at 117 if you were just leveling something up. And also part of it comes from my weapon and so on, so yeah, I think my weapon is giving me, hang on, yeah, so 110. If we equip the units, it should give you 3 apiece, I believe. So real quick. So yeah, you'd be getting 109 PP, which is pretty abysmal when it comes to PP, but it's, you know, you're leveling, you're just now starting, so it's not a huge deal. You can work with that. So these units are pretty nice. And the trick to them that's really cool is this client order is available on any character you create. So you level your character up, you create your character, you're going through your main missions, and you get to this coffee client order. You complete it by just doing a practice mission, which your practice missions are super easy. They are right here. Practice quest, give you standard training. I just did the one for my class, and it completed it. Auto completes and good. Now, cool thing about it is when you create another character, so you have 3 character slots for free. When you create a second character, it also gets this client order, and it auto completes. Meaning you can create 2 more characters and get 2 more of these and have a full unit suite, which is pretty nice. Nice and chill, decent amount of HP, some extra attack to go with it. So we've got those units that we're sitting on for right now. Let's head back over to Lion's quarters. And I really kind of hung on to those for a good chunk of time, right up until about the time I realized on the North American servers that there was a unit that you could get a hold of called the P drive. Now we're gonna check the market really quick. Oh, you know what? We got ahead of ourselves for just a second. Hang on a sec. So there's one other unit that's notable to talk about in these low level areas. Now, I personally didn't use this unit because I didn't have access to it at the time. It wasn't out at the beta when I was originally leveling, and I leveled to 75 before the PC version came out. So as you notice, these require 100 dexterity to equip. I believe by the time you can get a hold of these, you'll be able to equip them fairly easily, but this only requires 1. Now the gimmick to this unit, it's a fresh sign unit. It has fresh sign on it, meaning that you get increased experience. You increase 30% experience under level 30. Now, This isn't make or break. It does help you level up a little bit quicker, but I believe it's only under level 30, so it's going to be 29 and under, if I understand this correctly. So you kind of outuse this relatively quickly, and I use these units probably until about level 60 roughly. Now, cool thing about them is you can cycle in other units if you happen to get set bonuses. What I did was I cycled in these Gemini units during that process. So it got me a little less HP, but I got more PP, the trade-off. Of course, mine are affixed a little bit, which I'm going to show you guys in a video later. But it got me a bit more PP in the trade-off. So they had a little PP augment on them originally. The unit set gives you, like the two of these together will give you 120 HP. And then the units by themselves, I believe, give you 40. So let's double check. Because I might be off, you know. We have the option to look, so why not, right? We go over to set bonuses. And I highly recommend looking through these because this will actually help you out quite a bit. Yep, 30 apiece. So each of these gave me 30 plus 3 PP. So I got 120 from the set bonus with 20 extra PP from the set bonus. So that gave us a total of 180 HP and 26 PP. Pretty useful. So I picked these up when I could get the chance, and then I also grabbed a P drive. Now you could skip this. Personally, I would. They're selling right now for 1.9 mil, but at the time we had a bunch of people playing on the beta. It was very, very inclusive. People really didn't know what was going on, and I was able to lead part of the alliance that I played with at the time to pick up a very specific client order. So for this, we're gonna head over to the casino real quick. Now, like I mentioned, this is very different from my weapons tutorial, or my weapons, what's the word I'm looking for? My weapons roadmap, that's it. Words are hard. Welcome. So head over here to pick up this client order. It's defeat Niao in the Miss 10 shooter. All you have to do is head over to Miss 10 shooter, kill Niao once. It's the stupid cat looking thing. You kill it once and you get this trigger. Now the trigger is for a rock belt. It's a special weapon, or not special weapon. It's a. Thanks for just talking over my video like that. It's a special monster that triggers in a field. So all we did with these is I got myself and a group of 11 other people at the time. Now, granted, you can do this with just a couple of your friends. It doesn't have to be a ton of people, but the more people you get, the easier it's going to be. So we grouped up, headed over to the quest guy, made an expedition, highest level we could. I don't know if this part matters or not, but I just made the highest level we could. We took the quest, and you see here where it says enemy trigger, you would select the trigger and it would be listed here. Now only one person needs to use this for everyone else to get access, right? So one person uses it, the party leader of one party. You can set a password for it. So like say you set, 1337. You also set restricted joining, or also limit requests from multiple parties, which makes it so they have to have this password to join the actual MPA. MPA standing for multi-party area, which is just the 12-man areas, which is pretty much the basis for fields. So you would lock this up, and some people use condition to join just alliance members only, but it depends on the group you have. Lock this up and make sure that it has to have the password, and the 3 parties will join. So of course, a total of 12 people, and you guys just run out. It's fairly early in. You all get together, and there's going to be a boss that spawns. It's a really, really easy boss. You kill it pretty quickly, and it's on the map, like you'll be able to see it. Only the party leader of the person who triggered the actual trigger itself will be able to spawn the mission to pop up. So everyone gets over there, they group together, they kill the enemy, they get pink weapon badges, or pink badges, I think they're called. And you take these pink badges. Now, granted, you only get 1 per kill. So ideally, you want to do this 10 times total. However, sometimes you get unlucky, right? Because sometimes you don't get an actual badge. Sometimes you just get the unit to drop. Now, ideally, you want the badge, because if you can get 10 of these badges, you can get a 6-slot version of this unit, which has 60 HP, 11 PP. I'm sorry, 50 HP, 11 PP, and 20 power, 20 all attack, which is pretty solid. It's also a defensive unit, gives some extra HP. It's pretty nice to have. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure this gives extra HP. I'm gonna actually, you know what? I keep telling people to always check the wiki, always check the wiki. I'm going to take my own advice. We'll double check the wiki. So P drive, yep, there it is. 100 HP, 5 PP. So that'll be on top of the affixes you have. So pretty solid. If you can't get it, it's not the end of the world. Lower ones, you just lose a little bit of stats. You lose some PP. You keep the HP, and here you lose more PP, you lose a little bit of damage. So not the end of the world. As long as you get at least 2, it'll give you a 4 slot. 4 slot will give you something, right? So if you can't get a bunch of people together, get a few of your friends together, at least 4 of you guys, you may be able to get yourselves a 5 slot, and you can kind of move forward from there. These are all transitional, and then at the end of the day, you can always sell them. So pretty useful, right? So those were pretty much my units I held on to until the whitetail back unit. So I kept my Gemini units for a while, and then I eventually picked up this unit here. Now, as you can see, it gives me quite a bit of attack, but that's just because of augments I have on it. But in reality, what it's for is just to go along with these 2 units here. Now, in the combination, I get 180 HP from these 2 units and 26 PP. From this unit here, I'm just getting an extra 10 PP. So in reality, what I was getting all these units together was 180 HP and 36 PP, because I got 26 from these 2 and then an extra 10 from here. And I value the HP and PP more than anything else, really. Welcome. Now, the way you get these units is actually, oh, they got dope. The way you get these units is actually title farming. You have to have 250 titles. Now, that's not the easiest thing in the world to do. A lot of the things I ended up doing, because I just had the time to do it, was leveling all my classes gives me titles. That was an extra, I mean, that's 48 titles. Amongst, oh no, this isn't from leveling class. Oh no, this is from leveling classes, my mistake. So it's an extra 48 titles right there. We picked up titles from boss suppression, just getting single kills. We picked up titles from arcs missions. The big ones were also quests. I picked up titles from doing the advanced quests at different tiers. I did these solo, of course, at the time, just because I wanted to get like just the tiers done. Technically, completing one at plus 50 threat doesn't count unless it's your threat first off, and I think you can actually skip it by accident. So if you plus 50 instantly, it doesn't count for the 25 and for the 5 and below it. It only counts if you do one at plus 25 going into plus 26 or plus 5 going into plus 6, so on and so forth. So keep that in mind. But basically, we just title farmed. I grabbed every title I could, did all the expeditions, did as much story stuff as I could possibly get finished, and got up to 250 titles. And that's pretty much where I've been sitting this entire time, for the most part. Now, with the PC release, they did come out with a new set of units. And this is the reason why I said not to really invest too heavily into the current unit set, and why I augment my units fairly cheap, actually. It might seem like they're kind of like, intense, but for people who really know how to augment, this is a really cheap augment that I'm doing currently. Just Quartz, Soul, Might 3, Arcs, Fever, Noble Might. And again, I will show you guys how to deal with that in a later video. But 4 slot, fairly cheap, and I'm getting a decent amount of melee power, a decent amount of PP off of it. And that's all I really cared about. That's kind of changing. I need more HP at the moment. I'm getting one shot in ultimate quests. So with the release of PC, came out with this shop here for Rising Weapon Badge 2s. Now, because I have nothing else to really work on, I'm going to invest into these units for 2 reasons. One, they're another pieces of gear that upgrade. Similar to the ray weapons I mentioned before in my previous video, these units will upgrade into Union units. Now, granted, they aren't super strong, but we're going to pop over to the wiki, and I'm going to show you guys something. We're going to jump over to the JP wiki, actually. 12-star units have 2 major things that are going for them. One, at least the ones we're going to have access to for a very long time, they don't have set bonuses. Some of them do. They're very rudimentary set bonuses that provide you dexterity. I believe the austere 12-star units have set bonuses on them, which those are just a little bit more difficult to come by. It'd be great if the wiki loaded for me. Oh, thank you. But those units really don't have set bonuses. What they do have is pretty decent raw stats by themselves. Now, I had a small stint where I used Psyche units for a while. I happened to get 2 drops, and I just went and got the third because the third one was the cheapest. I got the rear and the arm drops, and then I just bought a leg unit. So I ended up affixing those fairly lightly, and I wanted to see how, that would work out for me. And in reality, I ended up trading about 10 HP with affixes for more PP and a little bit more damage, actually, overall. compared to my previous affix. Just because of how I did with the affixing and all that stuff, I did really cheap affixing on the psyches. Granted, the psyches could have ended up being stronger. I think they actually were stronger, just a little bit less PP, but it really wasn't something I was going for at the time. So that just lets you know that I did use psyches for a little bit. Now, 12-star units have two major utilities. One, like I mentioned beforehand, they have stats on their own. Now, when they're combined, these stats are equal to, actually in most cases, they pass the 11-star units with their set bonuses. And you also will have the option to, now granted it's not in the game yet, but you'll be able to add left rings to your units. Now, for people who are currently leveling up rings, they know that that's a really big deal for them. Classes like Gunner, Bouncer, Hunter, Fighter. I could name classes all day. I'm pretty sure there's like every class in the game that wants more than one left ring. And those left rings can be utility for resin people, for healing. They can be used for damage. I'm looking at you, Gunner. I'm looking at you, Fighter. Now, granted, you can use chat shortcuts for these things, but it's just easier to have them attached to your unit. And the cool thing is, with a recent change over in JP that we should have as well, when this does become an ability for us, it used to be that you would sacrifice the ring to attach it to the unit, meaning if you wanted to attach it to another unit, you need another ring. Now they just make it so the ring itself is just bound to you forever, which is fine. That means you can attach it to units as you go along. You don't have to worry about making multiple rings. I've made 3 or 4 copies of the same ring before because I needed another one with a new unit. That's also because I was upgrading units when I didn't really need to. So you're able to add these left rings to the unit, and the left rings, the only thing it'll do, it'll give you the effect of the left ring. It doesn't matter what level it is specifically. I think the ones that you want to level up are the ones that like require, or they have increased power at higher levels. I think you might need to level those up, but for the most part, what I've noticed is you end up just using those left rings in your left hand slot. I could be mistaken depending upon the ring, and I'm sure the comments, you comment heroes, I'm gonna call you guys out. You guys have been awesome, keeping me in check, double checking information. If I miss something that I'm not putting into the comments, the descriptions, you guys are usually really cool about calling it out. I have no problem with that. Keep on doing what you're doing. You're also helping out other people. So dude, it makes me happy to see that stuff happen. So like I mentioned, Ray units upgrade into Union. Circle Ray, Circle Union. Granted, they only upgrade and get 25 more HP. But I'm gonna show you guys something. So 50 HP and 9 PP, right? The next notable upgrade of units that come around are these Quefad units. Now, granted, they start out... Oh, where'd they go? They start out as a lower tier unit. Yeah, these here, these Zenith units, which have a ton of HP and very little PP and very little attack. Have less attack than the Ray units. You can upgrade them into Quefad units if you don't need the extra HP. You get more PP and you get a bit more attack, right? These are usually seen as kind of the stronger setups. Now, the cool thing about 12-star units is you can kind of mix and match really whatever you want. Because there's no set bonus, you can grab units from each side and kind of, mix them together. Say I use a full Union setup and then I find later on I really need more HP, right? Like I'm getting absolutely wrecked. I need to get more defenses. Well, I can go back and pick up the Rappy Shine, which straight up doesn't give me any damage, doesn't give me any PP, but it gives me 777 HP. So like all of a sudden, I'm swimming in HP that I didn't have beforehand, if I didn't affix it already, right? So it's kind of cool. You'll be able to kind of mix and match stuff. Now, the reason I was saying that these Ray units will carry me is 75 HP, 9 PP, and 25 all attack is actually pretty useful. Look at here. I mean, you've got 10 extra all attack, you've got an extra 4 PP, and you're losing HP. Or you have the Shine units that really aren't that much better. You're not getting any damage out of these. You're not getting any damage out of these. You're not getting any damage out of these, just some HP. Now, I believe these came in later. I think these are the ones that are just like straight up. Yeah, these are just straight up damage. Like if you look at this, it's a rear unit that's only for tech damage. This is actually one of the best units for 12 stars, and it was a while before we got these. So these are like way later, and I'll show you like when I actually look into getting these. These Astra units, I mean, based on your choice, honestly, I feel like these are going to be better than Ray units, flat out, or Union units. Now, granted, if you're not up to the point where you're farming for Ray units and you're still like building up your money and all those sorts of things, then I'm going to show you guys something cooler you can do with these weapon badge 2s. But this is what I'm using these for. This is what I'm doing with mine right now, because I got nothing else to do. Like, there's nothing else for me to get. Technically, you can skip these and wait till these other units come out that you might be able to get a little easier, and then invest in those units. Because what the whole point of my Ray units and my Union units are just to carry me through all of this stuff until we get here. So this is where I'm going to start looking at upgrading units again. This is mostly like at the end of episode 5, early episode 6. We're currently in episode 3 content. Look at all these units I'm bypassing. Like, there's a good chunk of units that I'm just not going to upgrade into. I'm not going to worry about it because my actual unit setup, if you guys could hear that, that was the ball from my lip ring just falling out of my face. That's super cool. I'll have to find that later. But these units are something I'm not really have to worry too much about. Now, granted, right here will be something to pick up and hold on to because they're going to upgrade into something. Now, I would like to say I want to go into these units. If I get super lucky and I haven't really put a whole lot of money into my other units, I might pick up the Wayla set and just do a light affix on them just because it is more PP. It's a little bit less HP, but it's a bit more damage. It's about 15 more all attack per unit. So when you look at it fully, it's 35 more all attack, which isn't a huge difference, and 3 more PP, which also isn't a huge difference. Like, as you can see, it's not like massive differences that are happening in these units until you get to something like the Mask of Vain. So the Mask of Vain is near, I believe, end of episode 5, early episode 6. Now, guys can correct me if I'm mistaken. I'm almost positive that's around the time frame these came out. They came from a certain fight, and no HP on them. Granted, you can affix HP, no HP on them, and I'll tell you why that's not a huge deal, but 60 all attack for the actual rear unit. Now, the reason that's not a huge deal is because we come down here to these Lightstream units. Now, as I mentioned beforehand, these units are going to be useful because they upgrade. Now, granted, when these come out, the upgrade's already going to be out too. So you're going to like pick these up with the mindset of going towards the upgrade. So it's only 25 HP. I'm sorry, 70 HP, which is pretty substantial. Don't get me wrong. 8 PP and 25 all attack, which is equal to our Union unit for the most part, right? But look at the stats when we upgrade them. 100 HP, 15 PP, and 50 all attack. Now, the arm and the leg unit's the same thing. So we're already getting an extra 25 HP per unit to drop 75 HP from the one I was going to have to get an extra, what, 11 PP and a bunch more all attack. For me, that's going to be worth it. Now, why would we go into this? Because you're thinking, well, hey, look, this is the end of 12-star units right before 13 stars. Well, that's because later in JP, we ended up with another system that we got in the game as well. That was actually pretty useful, right? So these 13-star units are pretty dope. So actually this unit here upgrades into a 13-star. I think this comes out when the 13 stars are actually already out. So it won't be out about the time the rear Mask of Vain comes out. These aren't chronologically listed. So keep that in mind. But a new system came out called the ability, what was it? Like, I think ability transfer, where you're able to transfer your augments from one unit to the next by paying a certain number of tickets. So technically you could start with a set of units with augments already on them, and you could transfer those units or those augments to a whole new unit. That was a game changer. I know there was a good friend of mine who had a 4-slot unit that was pretty expensive because of the augments he went with, and he took that 4-slot unit on his 12 stars and he brought them over to a 13-star unit. Now, there's also some shenanigans you can do with upslotting those units. If you choose a 5-slot unit, there are specific items they added into the game that are called ability adds, similar to like noble power and things like that, that add other affixes that you can use during the ability transfer process to then add more abilities. So it's like guaranteed upslotting, right? So it's kind of cool. You're able to upslot your units and then move into these 13-star units actually cleaner. So instead of re-affixing when we hit 13 stars, which you're going to want to because they have these sets called S-class abilities, you'll be able to move into those substantially easier, like way easier than beforehand. Right now on JP, I'm using Liberate units, which are pretty good. As you can see, pretty solid. They upgrade from novel units. However, had I had my choice, I would have stuck with the light streams I had at the time. I had like a light stream and an arm unit as well, like a separate arm unit. I had 2 light streams and a separate arm unit that was just all attack based. I would have stuck with those until this unit here and these units here came out, and then did the ability transfer system, because the ability transfer system wasn't out when these units came out. It came out later. But I would have used the ability transfer system to then upgrade into these units, saving me a ton of money on having to re-affix and so much more time. I could build up these units, I could get the fodder together and what I needed, and upslot guaranteed. It was insane how much easier it actually was. I don't know if this is true, by the way. Actually, I'm not sure if that's a thing, because these are usually only for weapons, so I'd have to look into this. But that's, I mean, I think this is a bit of a longer video than my last one, so I apologize in advance. That's kind of my idea for upgrading units. Now, again, a lot of the choices when you're looking into upgrading units, when you should augment them, so on and so forth, really has to do when you're playing the game and you're getting to endgame. The biggest mistake I personally made, and I see other people making, are a new set of units come out. So like, you have the Ray units, you pick these up, you augment them, you hold on to them, and then these Queefad units show up. Then you chase these units and you augment those set and you upgrade into Queefad. And then the Ash units and the Queefad. Then, the Eldeva units show up. Then the Eldeva units will upgrade into these, which is kind of cool. So like if you come around this time frame here specifically, this is actually pretty good because these units are actually really solid. I'm going to skip them personally because they're not that much of an increase for me. They're more HP, 1 more PP, and like 15 more all attack. But in the grand scheme of things, I can skip these. If you happen to really want to hold out and you hold out until austere units, these are great to go for because actually some of these do have set bonuses. If I remember correctly, I believe the rear and the leg, or the rear and the arm have a set bonus, and then the leg and the weapon have a set bonus, which the leg and the weapon I believe are just defense set bonuses. But like these do have a set bonus that are actually pretty useful. So my recommendation for you guys is to take a look at the units when they come out. Decide on what's really worth upgrading, because small jumps in damage aren't as significant as they are in other games. Most of your damage is going to come from a combination of the affixes on the units plus the units themselves. And sometimes the units themselves are already pretty strong as they are. So don't really feel like you need to upgrade all the time. Hopefully this is helpful to you guys. Again, I do appreciate all of the love I've been getting on these videos so far. You guys have been awesome. If you have any questions, feel free to toss them in the comments below. If you like this type of video, go ahead and press that like button. I have seen them recently pop up and I actually am a little proud, but if you dislike the video, dude, press the dislike button. I'm not mad at you for doing it. Criticism is totally fine. If there's something else you wanted me to do differently, by all means, let me know. I'll give it a shot. Or I might shoot it down. Who knows? But if you want to keep up with the content, subscribe. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.